Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the National Cybersecurity Student Association webcast series. My name is Gustavo Hinojosa, Director for the National Cybersecurity Student Association. So today's webcast is brought to you by Circadence. Get Gamified, Persistent Cybersecurity Learning and Training with Project Aries. Our presenter today is Bradley Wolfenden, Director of Cyber Academic Partnerships. So don't let your cyber skills slip over summertime. Today we're going to discuss cyber ranges and gamification. We're going to demo the project areas and share with you the details of our new promo and fundraiser just for the National Cybersecurity Student Association members. So whether you're curious and want to get started in cyber and are looking for technical environments to hone your skills and earn CEUs or CPEs, or want to pursue one of Circadence's nice line digital badges, this webcast is for you. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Brad.
Thank you, Gus, and good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Thanks for joining us. My name is Brad Wolfenden, and as Gus has shared, I'm the Director of Cyber Academic Partnerships here at Circadence. Live and work out of Boulder, Colorado. Our headquarters are here, and manage our academic portfolio globally. So it's nice to be with you. I've known Gus going on a year and a half or more now, and have participated in some of these webinars in the past. So thanks for having me back, and looking forward to sharing with you some of what Gus and I have been working on to make Circadence's flagship product, Project Aries, an offering to you all as members of the National Cybersecurity Student Association. So today's session is recorded. We will be sending out a link to this recording. Feel free to use the chat box to ask questions. Hopefully this will be a pretty interactive session. Gus, was there anything else you wanted to share before we jump into some of the Project Aries stuff?
Nope, we could jump right in.
Alrighty. So we'll leave PowerPoint and jump into our browser. So a couple of things I wanted to share with you a little bit about today. Circadence as an organization, we've been around since the mid-90s, and originally got our roots in the world of massively multiplayer online gaming. Did a lot of work for the likes of Microsoft and Sony, everything from publishing Xbox games to, we have about 35 patents in and around technology related to latency and optimization and networking and things like that. And it just so happens that a lot of the technology that we developed back in the 90s in the world of dial-up connections and trying to transmit mass quantities of data into hard to reach places in real time played well into the world of cyber ranges. And so for those of you that aren't so familiar with cyber ranges, essentially cyber ranges are kind of massive sets of infrastructure. Think routers and switches and other components, hardware, that get essentially installed and configured to replicate various environments. They can look like banks or hospital networks or water treatment facilities, et cetera. And for the last 20 years or so, Circadence has been operating several contracts with the US government, largely out of the Department of Defense, but several others, to build and manage their cyber ranges and largely supporting Department of Defense, the cyber mission forces. And over that time, we've recognized alongside some of our government partners that the traditional nature of cyber ranges being very physical, where you are acquiring all this infrastructure, you're installing it, configuring it, and managing it on-prem somewhere, is limiting in terms of scope and scale. And in order to truly close the cyber workforce gap, we needed a new solution that would allow us to kind of meet the high velocity, the highly evolving nature that is cyber, from a new tools, new threats, new virtual machine perspective, as well as to really augment both the faculty or the trainer perspective, as well as the student or the learner experience. And so about 6 years ago, the Department of Defense came back to us here at Circadence with an opportunity to collaborate with them. And the outcome of that collaboration was a product that you see here on your screen. It's Project Aries. And this was our solution to the need to meet the scope and scale that the cyber workforce gap sort of presented in terms of producing well-qualified cyber professionals, both for the public and private sectors. So what you have with Project Aries is a cloud-based solution. We've taken all of the range environments that we used to build out manually and physically, moved them into the range, or into the cloud rather. We deploy and host on a Microsoft Azure backend. So Project Aries is available 24/7 to anyone, anywhere, anytime, so long as you have an active internet connection and a modern web browser. So typically we'll use Chrome, Firefox, Edge also work, but a modern web browser and an active internet connection, and you land in an environment that looks just like this. So I see a couple of notifications here. Gus, are you keeping an eye on the questions? Are they coming in, or are these just new folks joining our meeting?
No questions yet, but if anybody has questions, feel free to post them in the chat box, and I will let you know as they come along.
Wonderful. So a lot of the idea behind Project Aries, it's kind of twofold. So it's both the platform as well as the content. From the platform perspective, it was important for us to create an environment that's engaging, that is drawing folks in, both cyber professionals as well as folks that may be newer to the industry that want more of a safe space for trial and error to explore best practices, look at various work roles, get their fingers on the keyboard, interact with different tools and virtual machines and things. In a way, as I said, it's engaging. It provides that positive reinforcement, and a lot of the aspects that we've pulled out of our roots in the world of gaming show themselves here in the user interface of Project Aries. And so you'll see things like earning experience points and your little progress wheel here. You're leveling up, you're unlocking badges. There are chat boxes and leaderboards. And all kinds of things that you can access that bring elements of gaming into real world environments. And so the second component that was important to us in delivering Project Aries was just that. It was the content, and the content needed to be real. It needed to be challenging. It needed to kind of provide both entry-level type exercises for those that may be just exploring cybersecurity as a career path, and for those that might have some technical expertise and want to pursue various exercises that would really put their skills to the test. So again, both the platform and the content gets installed on the globe. And what you see floating around the globe are the various exercises that we have installed and created to deliver to our students and to our users. And we'll start today's walkthrough of Project Aries here in the Battle School. The Battle School is where you'll find the first couple of opportunities to engage with our content. First being a media center. The media center is largely a library where you'll find things like case studies, you'll find white papers, you'll find video tutorials, news articles, things of that nature that really run the gamut in terms of concepts that get covered. So out of the box, you'll have a general tab, a defensive tab, and an offensive tab. And as you move through the various topics, you'll find things on, operating systems, networking fundamentals. You can bounce through these tabs and see some basic security concepts, some forensics, defensive tools, defensive methodologies, all of that. And then on the offensive side, similarly, lots on offensive tools. We have quite a few of the ethical hacking video tutorials available for you. And lots of other content that allows you to continue your learning. And if there are specific tools or if there are specific concepts that you really want to drill down on, some of these resources are authored by Circadence. Some of them are open sourced and vetted by our curriculum development team. But all of them are organized into the Media Center, so you can sort through them based off of these tabs, as well as through the search function at the top of the window here.
Quick question, Brad. Are these are those PDFs downloadable or just viewable?
They are downloadable. Absolutely. Yep. So you can download these. So for example, if you wanted to come in here and look at something like, I don't know, let's find a good one. Cybersecurity and oil and gas, so some critical infrastructure stuff. So here you can see as it'll pop open a new tab, all of these are embedded into the game server. So what that means is once you've logged in, there won't be any issues in terms of internet browsing filters or web settings that would prevent you from pulling up these resources. But as you open these resources, you can absolutely download and export this and save it locally if you would like to. And you can kind of see this one specifically is from Parsons, a pretty big defense organization, have quite a few large government contracts. So you'll find resources from various representatives, various organizations. Some might come from, like MITRE or Palo Alto or Lockheed or some of those big names. Some of them, like I said, are authored by Circadians.
So I have someone asking, are these step-by-step training tutorial videos, the ones that are videos in your library?
You can look at the videos in that sense. They're more kind of one-off, sort of informational. However, they are numbered. So, for example, like if you wanted to walk through a lot of these in order, it'll kind of introduce you to concepts in a progressive manner. So you can kind of see, we don't necessarily have all of them, but quite a few of them are included. They not only are they numbered, but they will tell you what the actual subject of the video is. So for example, this ethical hacking tutorial and decompilation is kind of a narrated walkthrough of how you would complete some work in this space. So how you would take a series of information and use a decompiler to process it. So I'll just play.
Lesson, we're going to be talking about decompilers and decompilation. The idea behind decompilation is that you want to take something that looks like this, where it's just a whole lot of binary digits, or in this case, hexadecimal digits, but something that's just all binary, and you want to get back to something like this. Now, there's a lot of problems with decompilers and decompilation. One of them is just inaccuracy. So the way that compilers work is
So just to kind of give you an idea of what those videos look like I said, they're narrated walkthroughs of some sort of use of a tool or a technical best practice. They're largely authored and narrated by a gentleman named Rick Messier. He's a pretty well-known author in the space, teaches some graduate level courses across the country at places like University of Colorado at Boulder and Champlain and some others. I think he's done some work for Harvard as well. So you can use these to learn about various concepts and things of that nature.
Cool, thanks.
Yep. Were there any other questions on the Media Center?
Are all these videos and information kept up to date with industry standards?
So we do have the opportunity to update these regularly. Typically once a month or so, you'll find new resources being added to the Media Center. And that's true really across the board. One of the things that really allows us to keep up with that highly evolving nature that is cybersecurity is the fact that we are web-based and serve through a game server. So essentially in that sense, we don't have to send new textbooks to a publisher to be printed and then distributed. We can create the content or source the content, make it available digitally through some sort of URL, and then bake it into the game server and serve it to you here through the Media Center. So you'll see quite a few newer resources, specifically a lot of more recent case studies on breaches and various cyber incidents that have happened over the last several years and things like that. And you'll see more about that as we move through the rest of the demo as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, cool. So the next component here are the mini games, and the mini games, these are the least technical in nature and really designed for folks that are newer to the field of cybersecurity and looking to kind of learn some of the fundamentals, takes some of those fundamental concepts out of a textbook, off of a PowerPoint slide, and makes them a little bit more interactive. Here within this demo game server that I'm on, we don't have all of the mini games that will be available to you all. But you'll find mini games on things like regular expressions and technical conversions and mapping ports and the cyber kill chain and encryption and subnetting and those kinds of things. And these are all modeled after games that you're likely familiar with. So for example, here, this game that I'm pulling up is called Solitaire. So it's a riff off of the traditional card game Solitaire. And this is all about the cyber kill chain as trademarked by Lockheed Martin. And so as you come in, as is true with each of our mini games, what you'll notice is there will be an opportunity for you to source a little how to play, kind of a tutorial. Or you can just jump right in, pick your level. And at the very basic level of a game like Solitaire, you're provided with a key across the top. This is where we outline to you the various phases of the cyber kill chain. And then from there, you're stacking a deck of cards just like you would a solitaire deck. And so you'll have your hackers are your aces. And then as you start to build out all of these various cards, the takeaway of a game like Solitaire is really what's on the face value of these cards. So as you move through the levels, things like the key across the top will go away, the colors on the cards will go away, the headers on the cards will go away. So at some point I'll need to know where PowerShell fits into these phases of the kill chain, or firewalls, or botnets, or whatever the case may be. And you'll always be provided with a little bit of information over here on your information tab. So again, mini games are the most basic of our offerings in terms of the least proficiency is needed to jump in. They're really designed to kind of hone in on some of the more perishable skills, things that are oftentimes kind of less engaging and taught in a way that's more traditional and static, and bring them into some more interactive types of learning environments where you're a bit more encouraged to come back and continue to develop proficiency there.
Question, are there any games where students can maybe play as a group or with their student chapter?
So there, within the battle school, there are not any opportunities to play as a group. Now, we do have access to project areas that includes missions, and I'll show you some of the missions as we move through. Those do allow for team play. Depending on the mission scenario, anywhere from 5 to 15 users can complete the mission collaboratively together. And I can show you what those look like. Our next stop, though, will be in the battle rooms, and I'm going to show you these before we get into the missions themselves. So these battle rooms are the first opportunity for you to start to spin up virtual machines, get your fingers on the keyboard, and interact with tools and so on. So you'll notice that these battle rooms, they'll be concepted in one of two ways, either more kind of specific in terms of Linux, Windows, scripting, forensics, that kind of thing, or more work role specific. Regardless, all of this is aligned to the NICE Cyber Workforce Framework. So now as you come into these battle rooms, you're tapping into our range. And as I mentioned, this is your first opportunity to really start to get your fingers on the keyboard. And depending on the battle room, you'll have somewhere between like 2 and 6 virtual machines to work with. So these are smaller environments. However, within these environments, you have several opportunities to start to engage with these virtual machines and complete these tasks. So each battle room will have a series of instructions. It's important that you pay attention to these instruction sheets, as they'll provide you with things like user credentials and other important pieces of information that you'll want as you start to complete these tasks and things. For example, the instruction sheet for the battle room on forensics is all about autopsy and how to ingest files and things like that. You also have your secure shell access point. This is straight command line, although we do allow you to drag and drop resources into the environment through the SSH window here. That is a drag and drop functionality, so things like scripts you can bring in, things like tools. If you have something that lives locally on your desktop you want to drag in, configure on the fly, you can do that and use it as you start to work on these tasks. And then you also have a VNC window here, and within your VNC terminal, you have both the command line interface as well. You can drag that out of your way for a more traditional desktop view of your Kali machine. And then within the applications menu, this is where you'll have various tools that we've baked in for you to leverage as you complete those tasks. So This will be slightly different depending on the battle room that you're in, but for the most part, these are your typical Kali suite. So you'll find things like Maltego and Burp Suite and Bro and Snort and Elsa and Autopsy and Sleuth Kits and you know, all kinds of different things. That these are all plug and play, ready to go. So you won't have to configure any of those. Now, the whole point of the battle rooms are to complete these tasks, and depending on the battle room, you'll have anywhere from about 15 to 60 tasks available to you. So with this drop down here, you can place filters on these tasks if you wish to. You can also select all, and in doing so, you'll be presented with all of them. Now, these tasks will come with a series of hints. So these hints can be sourced by clicking on this question mark. And the hints are designed to walk you through the process of solving this task. So if, for example, sending an echo request or sending pinging a target on your little network map here isn't something you're familiar with, you can source those hints, and it'll walk you through what the ping tool is and how to use it and why and all of that. Now, you don't necessarily need to use those hints, because in addition to all of these hints, we've also written solutions. So for example, as you come into your environment here and start to knock out some of these exercises, we can source the password here. You cannot copy and paste. I always get asked that. Oh no. I always get asked if you can copy and paste into your project area's environment, and you can't. So here, as you start to execute these tasks and complete them, what you'll notice is there's a character in the game, and her name's Athena. And Athena is AI powered, and she's the result of a lot of the work that we've done in collaboration with the Department of Defense. And she serves a couple of roles. Most importantly, she's the automatic umpire. And so in her role as the automatic umpire, she saves and records everything you do down to the individual keystroke. And she makes it available to you, so you can source that for as long as your license is active. In addition to giving you that kind of log file access and a lot of the summary-based data and things like that, she also gives you some confirmation in real time as you've completed the various tasks and things here in the environment, both by giving you a check mark as well as you'll start to build out a score. So as I said, you can bounce around. You can knock these out in any order. These aren't necessarily designed to build on each other. You can use either terminal. So as you start to work on these, you'll see that she's always available to you as that automatic umpire, tracking your progress and giving you that immediate feedback. So some of these battle room tasks are more basic, like you've seen, you know, ping this target. Some of them are a little bit more complex in terms of requiring you to use various tools. But these are really more of the one-off kind of hands-on exercises that allow you to engage with virtual machines and start to execute using tools and things like that.
So a quick question, what is the average time to complete the battle rooms, and is it possible to save your progress?
Great questions. So the average time for the battle rooms varies by battle room. Like I said, some of the battle rooms will have about 15 or 18 tasks. Some of them will have closer to 60 tasks. And it really depends on your level of proficiency and whether or not you're using hints and that kind of thing. So typically the battle rooms that have fewer tasks might take you anywhere around an hour or so, 45 minutes to an hour. Some of the more extensive battle rooms that have, 40, 50, 60 tasks in them might take you several hours. Within the battle rooms, you cannot save your progress and come back to it because these tasks don't necessarily build on each other. With that said, we do save your history. So for example, what you can do is, I was just in this battle room here on the work role system integrator. So instead of clicking play, I can click history. And when I click on my history tab here, what you can see is every single time I've come in this battle room, and every single time I've come in this battle room, I've received a score, an experience points component here, how long I was in that environment, how many hints I used out of the total, and then how many objectives of the total I completed. You can also download all of this data as an Excel file and save it locally, or you can replay kind of what we call a DVR style sort of assessment video here where we log these various filters. So player commands, chat messages if you've collaborated with any of your peers that are active on the environment in the chat box, any hints you may have used or any objectives you've completed. You can toggle the playback speed on this, and little things will light up and flash and whatnot. And then you can come into a summary where it will show you your raw score from your objectives, how many bonus points you've earned from not using hints. So that's how the hint functionality works. Hints do impact your score. Each task is worth a raw score, and then you can earn bonus points for not using hints to complete tasks. For your total points here, you can reflect a little bit under this lessons learned component, opportunities to improve your work on this side and your processes, or things that you've done well that you want to keep up. Over here, save that, and then those would publish to your profile. So lots of ways that you can track which objectives you've already completed. You cannot save your progress in the battle rooms, largely because they're one-off hands-on exercises, and unlike the mission scenarios, where within the mission scenarios the objectives build on each other and things like that, you don't have to complete them in any order. So in order to get to objective 14, you don't have to do the first 13. You can just knock them out in any order. Do you have any other questions on the chat box?
So are these single player games, or they're multiplayer games? Can a bunch of students get together and play together?
Yeah, so everything you'll see in the Battle School are single player games. Single player games to the tune that you're playing these individually. That doesn't mean that you can't chat here with anyone else that's live. So I'm on a demo game server right now, so there's no one else that's live in my environment, but as we onboard you all into the promotional game server, there could be many of you playing at any one time, and you would see the active players here, and then you can pull up this chat window, so you can chat with them, talk to them. If you all wanted to do a specific battle room, you wouldn't be like sharing your screen or virtual machines or anything, but you can collaborate, chat with each other here in the chat box while you have those terminals open and things like that. The team play is really one of the main differences between the battle room environments and then the live mission scenarios. Are there any other questions on anything you've seen here so far in terms of the media center, the game room, or the battle rooms?
There was a question about the upper right-hand corner and where it says apprentice in your name. Is that at the profile area?
That is, yeah. So up here, this is where you'll track all of your progress. So this is my username. I'm Beowulf. I'm an apprentice level 1. There are 10 levels of apprentice. And you can see here I have 154 experience points out of the 500 that I need in order to level up. So there are 10 levels of apprentice, and then you move to a journeyman. And there are 10 levels of a journeyman, and then you move up to the master. And as you move through these levels, you get new masks and things. And you're always working to unlock badges. So as you complete battle room tasks and things, all of those experience points that you're earning, they all map to these badges through what we call core competencies. So within the badging portfolio of Project Aries, there are 18 of them, and they really kind of run the gamut. You'll find things on forensics, law, cryptography, identity management, risk, vulnerability, infrastructure design, etc. And each of these have a subset of core competencies, again, all aligned to the NICE Cyber Workforce Framework. So as you complete battle room tasks, those experience points that are tied to those tasks roll up to these core competencies. So the more you engage with Project Aries, not only are you working to level up and earn experience points in that sense, but you're also working to unlock these badges. And so by maxing out all of these core competencies under this badge, you're able to unlock the badge overall. So there are a couple of ways that you can really track your progress. And here, and I think in my profile, I think I have a couple of different licenses and things like that. So now if I were to log out and log back in under this new organization, then I would have, let's see, I'll just try it. I think like, I don't know, a couple thousand experience points. So here, yeah, you can see this user on this other organization has 2,346. I'm an apprentice level 5 here, and you can see the difference in terms of the various badges and things, and how much I've earned for that. You can also self-report some skills. If you want to, you can kind of suggest to the game server, you know, where your strengths are and things like that. And then I'll also show you, we have some certified work roles and things like that. These will look a little bit different on the game server that will onboard you to, is the game server that we've identified for the partnership with your membership, is all nice aligned content. And so instead of system integrator, network analyst, host analyst, et cetera, you'll have things like cyber defense infrastructure analyst. And there are 5 work roles that you can work to unlock. Those you'll find on the other yellow hotspot. So within your environment, you'll have the 2 yellow hotspots. You'll have the battle room or the battle school that has the media center, the mini games, and the battle rooms. And then you also have the assessments. And these assessments are essentially predefined set of content that we serve to you in a modular capacity. So you'll see various mini games, various battle rooms with hints, without hints, etc. All of these are modules, and you must meet, I think it's a 70% on each module before the next one will unlock. But if you make your way through the entirety of each of these work role pathways, you unlock this certificate. And this is something that we allow you to export out of Project Aries. So one of the agenda items for us to talk about today are some of the certificates of completion that you can earn through engaging with Project Aries. And there are 5 of them that we currently make available to you. And I will make sure that the list of the 5 gets sent out so you can see exactly what those are. But you would find them here. And in order to unlock those, you would need to complete all of the steps within the overall pathway. Any questions on this?
So will we be going over these certificates and these work roles and who they are and who sponsors them later on, or should we talk about it right now?
So in terms of the 5, we can just talk about it really quick. I'm going to stop sharing my screen while I pull up the list of the 5. And that way you guys can see exactly what's available. So the 5 work role pathways that you're able to unlock certificates of completion for, they're all Circadence authored. So just like you might, pursue a certificate from Microsoft or, Palo Alto or IBM or something, we have authored our own certificates. And they're all work roles that are aligned to the NICE cyber workforce framework. So the first one that you can earn is cyber defense infrastructure specialist. The second one that you can earn is a threat warning analyst. The third one that you can earn is a system security analyst. 4th, cyber defense analyst. And 5th is a team lead. So those are 5 separate work role certificates that you can earn. And as you complete the relevant steps and modules within each of those, you unlock the certificate, and then we allow you to export that accomplishment to something like your LinkedIn, job applications, grad school applications, general resumes, things like that.
So another question, what would be the value for students to obtain these certifications, and is this something that would be appealing for employers?
Yeah, so the value is that all of these are aligned to the NICE Cyber Workforce Framework. So there was recently an executive order that was issued by the White House on May 2nd that has called for some significant correlation between a lot of the federally funded programs and the adoption and implementation of the NICE framework. Who's Carl?
I'm not sure.
Hey, Carl, I'm going to ask you to hold off and not submit that. We're going to share with you a link to a promo to purchase access to Project Aries. So when you're looking at kind of the validity of the NICE Cyber Workforce Framework, there's increasingly a demand in terms of both the public and private sectors to find well-qualified cyber talent. And one of the ways that they're looking to standardize the well-qualified part is by using the frameworks as identified and defined by NICE and NIST. Because the NICE Cyber Workforce Framework is one of the more extensive and includes work roles, KSAs and tasks, etc., there's a strong movement towards being able to sort of speak to your technical abilities as it applies to the NICE framework. And so because these work role based certificates are all aligned to the NICE framework, we've tied them to the KSAs that roll up into those work roles. And so that would be the validity there.
Great. Another question. So will the battle room help you with any certifications aside from the ones that you mentioned?
Yeah, great question. So let me go ahead. I'm going to take the screen back and I will share my screen so we can talk a little bit more about that. So here, you'll find a couple of things. So on our website, our users of Project Aries can go to this tab here. So this is just on circadence.com. At circadence.com, we allow you to navigate to this tab in the upper right where it says My CEU CPE Credits. So from this tab here, you can submit a web form. Just requires your first name, last name, your username, and then your email address. And in doing so, what we allow you to do is to identify which of the battle rooms you've completed. So of the battle rooms that are available publicly, you can select those and then submit it. And as you would submit these, our customer management team will verify that you have in fact completed these. And in doing so, they will send you a certificate that then can be submitted to your certification body for your CEU or CPU credits. And part of the renewal and the maintaining of your certifications. Outside of the work that we do with the government, we cannot claim to have any sort of formal partnerships with some of the certification bodies. However, I've been part of a lot of the mapping work that we've done with folks like CompTIA, NEC Council, and others. And depending on the certificate, there's somewhere between 30 and 70% overlap in terms of the content that's required for you to understand in terms of passing those certification exams and what you can find in Project Aries.
So a question going back to the battle room, is there a leaderboard? And a student wants to know, so is there a leaderboard and how do I know how another student is doing? Is that possible?
In the battle rooms, you can really only track your own progress. So here in the battle rooms, you can come in and you can look at your history tab here. And you can see, how many points you've earned and things like that. Now, within the live mission scenarios, you can see a lot more of a leaderboard. And for the original pilot with the National Cybersecurity Student Association, what we're launching is just what we call our academy level access. And so the academy level access will limit you to the battle school and the assessment hotspots. So you'll be able to unlock all those assessments, those work role certificates of completion, and engage with all of the content in the battle school. So the media center, the mini games, and the battle rooms themselves. The next level of access to Project Aries would include the missions. And we can discuss taking our partnership opportunities to that space if this one goes well. We just kind of wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of dip your toes into the water and explore Project Aries, see what you think about it before you might commit to a larger subscription purchase. Now, these live mission scenarios, these are different from what you've seen for a couple of reasons. Number one is that these are the end-to-end problem-solving mission scenarios. Number two, they also allow for team play. So depending on the mission, you can bring in anywhere from 5 to 15 other students to complete one of the mission environments. Now, these missions, you'll have larger virtual worlds to kind of play around in, and they're all industry specific. So for example, this one here is protecting a financial institution. So we're going to identify and remove some malware that's responsible for identity theft and prevent further infections. You might find things like, here's mission 9. This is an offensive mission in some critical infrastructure, industrial control system stuff at a water treatment facility. So all of our missions have at least easy and medium. Some of them also have hard levels. But back to your question about the leaderboard, we do publish leaderboards on our mission scenarios, so you can see, how you fare compared to the other folks on your game server. You also have your own history tab. Similarly to in the battle rooms where you saw, you can pull up your own history of completing these. And then the schedule tab, this is one of the ways you can get into team play, where you would select your level of difficulty. You would find other players on the environment, either active or inactive, and in doing so, you would select them, save your events, and then they would receive a little invitation to their mailbox down here to complete a mission scenario with you collaboratively at a later date and time. So the mission scenarios are different in terms of kind of the intent is more of the end-to-end problem-solving, scenario-based learning opportunities, whereas the battle schools are more of the one-off hands-on exercises within a virtual environment. They're also much larger environments. You might be spinning up like 40, 50, 60 virtual machines, and so they're much more expensive to maintain and make available 24/7.
So, question. So the promo that we're doing with student members is just for a single player, not multiplayer. Is that correct?
It's limited to everything that you've seen over in North America in terms of these 2 yellow hotspots. So you'll have access to the battle school, all of the exercises here in the battle school, all the mini games, the battle rooms, etc., your chat boxes, and then all of the assessment pathways, those hotspots there.
Sounds good. I had an instructor ask a question. So could an instructor, if they implemented this in their classroom, would they be able to see the student progress? I know that's not probably part of this promo, but is that possible?
Yeah, so that's absolutely possible. We have plenty of solutions for academic partners, both K-12 and higher ed. We have about 4,500 students on our platform every semester. And for our academic partners, typically we'll offer what's called a private tenancy game server. So we will author a URL that's specific to that campus environment. So, you would author the URL, you would decide what kind of content gets installed on your environment. And then there's also a trainer view aspect. So trainer view allows you to adjust lots of the settings, turn off and on the hints, turn off and on the background network adversary, pull reports off cohorts of students in different organizations and things. You can even pull up their virtual machines and terminals in real time and shadow users. Simply just add comments to their log files, or you can also, pivot, enumerate in the network, all kinds of fun stuff, and keep it fresh that way.
Sounds good. And if they wanted to find out more information about that, they could just email you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I can put my email address in the chat box. And for those of you that are students, this is the landing page that we've created for you all to take advantage of Project Aries. It's a 2-month subscription as this pilot effort. So here for you all only, what we've done is we've given you, like 60-something% off as a pilot offer to see how this goes. Not only is this heavily discounted opportunity for you all to engage with Project Aries, but it's also a fundraiser for the National Cybersecurity Student Association. So 10% of all of your purchases over the next month will go back into funds for new programming and other kinds of initiatives for all of you. And Gus can speak more about that in terms of the fundraiser component. But Circadience is providing a referral fee back to NCSA as a result of purchase of any licenses that come through during this pilot. So I'll pass out this URL here. You'll just use this code to purchase. The offer expires June 30th. Once you've purchased access, you will be put in contact with our customer management team. And the customer management team will send you information on establishing your username and your password and providing you with access to the environment itself. So this is what we've been working on to make available to you all. And again, with this access, the academy level access, you will be able to work on things like CEUs and CPEs. So if you are a current certification holder and you're looking for an environment to earn some of those credits, you can use project areas to do that. And you would just, once you've completed any of these battle rooms, submit the workflow with your name, username, email, suggest which of the battle rooms you've completed, and then submit that. And then you'd be put in contact with our customer management team, and then they would send you a certificate that can then be submitted to whoever's holding your industry cert.
So if I had a certified ethical hacker cert, if I want to maintain it and I need a certain amount of CPUs, I could go in here and complete these missions and then check off these boxes like you just showed, and then submit that to get those CPUs credited towards my certification, right?
That's right. Yeah, and depending on the certification body, so if it's EC Council or ISC Squared or CompTIA, they have different requirements. By and large, I think 50% of the activity that you're submitting needs to relate to the goals or the learning objectives of your certification. So depending on what your certification is, you might be a little bit more strategic in terms of which of the battle rooms you pursue. So, if you are holding a forensics-based certification, of course, you would want to do this battle room on forensics, or, however the content kind of aligns to your skill set or your certification. Typically, that's a requirement that's put forth by the certification body. But yeah, we've actively had plenty of users obtain credits for CompTIA certs, Security Plus, Network Plus, those kinds of things, COISA Plus, CISSPs from ISC Squared, CND, CEH from UC Council, and others. So,
sounds good. So I have a question from somebody in academia realm. Is there a curriculum available for a course, or is there any way that instructors could maybe use this platform in their classroom, or have it aligned to something?
Absolutely. Yep. So we have several course syllabi that we make available to our academic partners. As well, all of our content's aligned to the NICE Cyber Workforce Framework. So we have quite a few mapping documents that allow you to build your own coursework or lay project areas on top of what already exists. So again, that would just be reach out to me. Let me see. Does this give me the chat? Cool. So there's my contact information. Definitely encourage you to reach out to me directly if you have any questions for an academic solution.
Cool. Another question, do you offer any free study materials for students?
We don't offer anything free for the time being. We did have a couple of resources that were up, but we had a public-facing landing page for some of our mini games, and we're refreshing a few of them, so we brought it down for the immediate future. But we did have quite a few of the mini games. I think 5 or 6 of them were available on a public-facing landing page that no username or password was needed. That was living at cybergames.circadience.com, but I think that now just redirects you back to our website. So no free resources currently, but there's definitely some on the roadmap.
All right. So we have another question. Does this as far as does the automatic renewal after 2 months renew at the discounted rate, or is it at the full rate?
The promo is just for the original 2 months. We are also we do have a promo going on that you can take advantage of after the facts. It jumps to $79.20 a month instead of what I think it's 65 or what was the deal? 125 divided by 2, so yeah, 62.50, something like that. So an extra 10 or 15 bucks a month after your 2 months are up. If you want to renew after the 2 months, reach out to me directly. I can extend that rate for you. Probably would cap it at a 6-month license at that rate. But reach out to me directly, and if you take advantage of this promo and want to continue your access, we can work that out for you.
Cool. Does anybody have any other questions regarding this platform? I had a question myself. So Athena, is that available in this promo? Or is that only for the multiplayer version? And is that interactive? And
so Athena is the automatic umpire. She's absolutely there in the battle rooms. So she's the one that will be giving you that immediate gratification, kind of that instant feedback in terms of your check marks and your scores and things. So she's there for you. Some of her other functionalities show up in the missions where she's an in-game advisor and things like that. But her largest roles and kind of the most work that we do in terms of building out various algorithms and machine learning models and things to further kind of augment and automate the user experience and the faculty experience and things. She's available in the Academy version.
Cool. I think we may have addressed before, but how can subscription and training give ROI in your career/interviews?
Yeah, so a couple of things. If you are diligent and work through unlocking those certificates of completion, those are absolutely things that you can export out of Project Aries for some visibility throughout your social media channels, whether that's LinkedIn or Twitter, or you want to put it on a resume or a job application. You can also use it for your CEUs and CPEs. And then lastly, within the environment, as I showed you, when you come back in here, you can download and export an entire log file of everything you've ever done within Project Aries. So, if you want to just pull up our battle room on Linux, for example, and run a bunch of Kali work, you would have a transcription of everything you've ever done at the command line level that you can use almost as like your GitHub kind of in a way for some of the proof of your technical abilities. If you pull these and download them locally, or download them and save them locally, I guess, you would have all of that. It walks you through all of the objectives you've created. And the command line file too. So.
All right. I think that's a really cool feature. You could just download that and see what you have done in the past, and you could also, show that to your employer too.
Yeah.
So it kind of validates what you have done, over time, or what you are doing. So.
Absolutely. And, I think, by and large, earning a cert is one thing. Having the technical experience and being able to show them that you can perform, the actual technical skills and apply kind of the practical application of what you know, much more important than having a couple of letters at the end of your name.
Cool.
So, great questions. Any others?
I wonder if this could pass as experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, these are all live environments. These aren't containers. They're not, emulations of anything. The firewalls, the routers, the virtual machines that are in there, the Kali machines, the Windows boxes, everything. Those are all live, active environments. So it's absolutely experience, and you should definitely look at it that way. It's one of the few environments that you can access 24/7 and come back into. And every time you spin up these battle rooms and things, little changes will be made. Things like IP addresses and services that are running on the various machines will change. So the tasks are all going to remain what they are, but the experience will be slightly different every time you come back into these. So it's a great way to keep your skills fresh, have a little bit of fun, create a little bit of friendly competition. It's all about, the building that expertise, applying those skills, showing off, your technical abilities, earning some experience points, and unlocking badges and so on.
Yeah, and also, another key point too is, you could download your log files, and it kind of shows all the hours, right, you spent on all these missions too. So
absolutely, yeah. I'm gonna I'll pull one up for you guys so you guys can see it. I'm gonna stop sharing just really quickly while I pull one up and have one saved, so you can see what that actually looks like. But yeah, absolutely, you're totally right. I mean, when you pull your individual report and download it, it will show you everything that you had done within Project Ares. So let me.
Yeah, I think that's great, especially for your employer. If they think you need training in an area, or if they need proof of training in this area, your platform is pretty legit. And I mean, you got a lot of history back to it too. Working with the DoD and all that. So I think it'd be really great. You pull the logs out, and say, hey, I spent 20 hours this week, or 10 hours, or I spent 40 hours this month, or whatever the case may be.
For sure. So this is one when I was in a battle room. So if you let's see, if you're in your battle room and you go to your history tab here and you just click this little download icon, what it'll pull is this report here, and it'll always default to the lessons learned tab. So don't be scared, because unless you add reflections, this tab won't populate. But over here, starting on the mission session, this will show you, first of all, it'll have your name, the date you were in there, how many objectives you completed out of the total, how many points, how long you were in there, how many hints you've used, total points. Your mission objectives tab here, this will actually show you each of the objectives that are available within this specific battle room. So you can look through here. So this is achieved yes or no, and this is hints used. So as you look through here, you can see, so I completed task 16. I didn't use any of the hints. This was the date and time that I completed it, and this was the actual task. And this is where some of my technical expertise shows up in terms of the NICE framework and the core competencies and the badges.
That's awesome.
Scroll down. So this one, for example, is the firewalls one. So again, completed this task, didn't use any of the hints, etc. So you have all of this data at your fingertips. And then the playback events down here, if you scroll, this is a pretty lengthy file, but the playback events tab is where we actually transcribe everything you've done at the command line. So here you can see some of what I had done here, running some super user commands, using some hints, etc. So if they really want to see what you can do on the keyboard, this is some pretty good proof of your expertise.
Cool. So, yeah, I think that's really powerful. When you can show an employer that all the things that you accomplished, and especially when it's fine grained like this too.
Totally.
So the question: you guys are having an event in Vegas and had previous events in Vegas. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, the past and the future ones that you could be having?
Absolutely. So the past event was last year. It was called Game of Titans. It was kind of CyberGo's esport. This year, we're back at it, and we're collaborating with the Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu. It's a fundraiser for women and girls hacker camps and other competitions and things. So we've donated Project Ares to support this competition. It's a collegiate competition. We have 21 teams that are registered, everyone from Stanford to RIT to UCF to some smaller schools across the country. It'll be a multi-round event. It starts next Wednesday, June 5th, with the practice rounds. From there, it moves into a qualification round. From the qualification round, we'll identify our top 6 teams that get to compete on Thursday, August 8th. in Las Vegas at the HyperX Esports Arena. So the Luxor has gutted their nightclub and turned it into an e-gaming venue. And we've rented it out for the second year in a row. It'll be live streams on YouTube and Twitch and things. So you can hit wicked6.com. I'll throw this in the chat box. If you're interested, you can watch from anywhere because it will be live streamed. If you're going to be in Vegas, it's the Thursday between Black Hat and DEF CON, so some of you might be out there. You can sign up to attend. So if you click this watch tab here, you can get a ticket to actually join us. It's free to attend and come be a spectator if you're going to be in the crowd. Otherwise, you might know some of the teams that are competing. We're going to be announcing them next week formally. And if any of you know folks that might want to be sponsors of the event, I wouldn't be very good at my job if I didn't share that we are still accepting sponsors. And one of the sponsorships does go to pay for some of the teams to make the trip out to Vegas. So you can sponsor a cyber team. That money goes towards their travel and lodging to make the actual trip to the live event. So sponsorships at all different levels. Some on the smaller side, Microsoft and Uber are both gold level sponsors, so they've kicked in quite a bit of money. Some pretty big names there. I'm pretty fortunate to be on the advisory board for the event. So
is registration closed, I'm assuming?
For the teams, it is. Yeah, closed on the 24th.
Okay.
So you guys just missed it, but
Yes.
we'll be back.
I shared some of that. I think we shared that via our social media account before too. So some of our students may have joined before.
Very cool. Well, I hope to see some of you there. All right, guys. Well, I've put the link to this promo landing page in the chat box. I know this is all being recorded. I've also added my email in there. So, Gus, I think you're going to send out an email with my email,
yep,
the link to this promo, and then a video recording of today's session to all of the folks in all of your members.
That is correct.
Cool.
Yep.
Right on. Well, unless there are any other questions, I'm going to jump off and get on with some dinner.
All right, folks. Well, I thank everyone for attending this webcast series, and thanks, Brad, for showing this presentation. Again, we'll be posting this video to YouTube and sending an email out with all this great information. I'd like to thank everyone for joining, and have a good day.
Have a good night, y'all. Thanks again.